The negative mainstream Cardano narrative and motives behind it become clearer to me with each passing day. These narratives are formed as a result of how uncomfortable Cardano's development, progress and continued success makes them feel. What Cardano is achieving by staying true to the principles originally set out by Satoshi goes a long way in showcasing this bias, as it threatens the very existence of the chains they continue to cheerlead for. As new players enter the blockchain arena, we witness over again how fickle, easily led and dishonest this space can be, driven by greed and media hype, seemingly dropping the fundamentals which laid the road for this technology to have been born in the first place, at the first sign of immediate personal gains. Despite this, there seems to be one constant that shines through the lack of integrity, legitimacy and quality in this space, that being Cardano. If you claim to love blockchain and everything it stands for, yet allow yourself to spread misinformation and discredit the one blockchain that is not only leaps and bounds ahead in terms of solving the trilemma, but is actually in real time realizing Satoshi's vision, then your love for blockchain at the very least is questionable. Cardano is proving, despite what the move fasters would like you to believe, that if a permissionless, ultimately decentralized and mass adopted world operating system is what you truly want to achieve, there are no shortcuts in blockchain technology. Welcome back for today's installment of Cardano Insights, where we track the all important developments at the very pulse of Cardano and its ecosystem. So let's get straight into it. Now, you will know on Cardano Insights, I prefer to maintain focus on, well, Cardano developments, but ever since I came across this ecosystem map of all the layer 2 protocols supposedly building on the Aptos blockchain, published by Coin98 Analytics with the statement, "Let's have a look how impressive this ecosystem is," I thought it would only be right to delve a little deeper to understand beneath all the hype and mainstream media coverage, what's actually going on under the hood of this new L1 blockchain. Now, thanks to our friends Laura and Suraj, the heavy lifting here has already been done. In their latest installment of the Metrics newsletter, they provide a brilliant breakdown of Aptos in comparison to Cardano, answering the question why decentralization determines the value of an L1, the Aptos case, looking through the lens of the blockchain trilemma. So just before we run through some of the key comparisons here, I've linked the article in the description below. Go give the guys a follow and subscribe to the weekly newsletter for highly informative and digestible cryptometric breakdowns. So after providing an overview of the team behind Aptos, the ICO or lack of it, its consensus mechanism and accounting model, using their familiar framework, they go on to compare Aptos against Cardano, assessing its performance using the 3 dimensions of the blockchain trilemma: decentralization, scalability and security. I'll let you go read the full article for a complete overview, but let's take a look at what is, in my opinion, the most important metric: decentralization. From this perspective, the initial coin distribution should indeed raise red flags for any would-be Aptos retail investors. With 100% of the Aptos tokens being allocated to insiders and the foundation, it's no wonder that we're currently seeing what on the surface looks like very generous airdrops for various levels of participation and interaction with the blockchain's testnet, recently airdropping 2% of the initial supply to participants. With a token distribution this centralized, where the founders or insiders initially retained 100% of the supply, airdrops that are being gifted to the Aptos community are, in my opinion, insignificant and nothing more than the initial lure to capture users, increase FOMO buying of the Aptos coin through centralized exchanges, and begin the wave of inevitable degen activity with regards to its layer 2 protocols. As we're all aware, Cardano on the other hand delivered a token distribution with decentralization being its core motivation. Around 80% of tokens were distributed through public sale, and currently Cardano has over 1.2 million unique wallets that are actively staking their ADA. As a result of the Aptos initial distribution, there is extremely limited data in terms of wallet activity or delegation on Aptos, which is also a proof-of-stake blockchain. So far, it's understood that 100,000 wallets were eligible for the Aptos airdrops, representing the only data available in terms of community participation and token distribution. But something equally as concerning outside of the initial token distribution is the assessment made to whether or not Aptos can be considered a permissioned or permissionless network. As you'll be well aware, Cardano is permissionless, with over 3,000 stake pool operators across the world securing the network and validating block production. Anyone can become a validator on Cardano, hence being permissionless, and is a driving force behind the blockchain becoming more decentralized over time. Aptos, on the other hand, doesn't have any community-run validators. All 101 validators are understood to be belonging to insiders of the Aptos blockchain. According to an Aptos developer who reportedly worked on Aptos staking, all 101 network validators were hand-picked by Aptos Labs, and even more concerning, in order to be included in the validator set, each had to sign an arbitration agreement in the Cayman Islands. This was outlined in an extremely revealing thread, also linked in the article if you're interested to find out more. When considering the centralization of token distribution and permission-only granted validator set, Aptos should be considered a permission network, which, for anyone who cares about Satoshi's vision for blockchain, importantly to enable the people to take back financial control from centralized organizations, it's fair to say Aptos isn't displaying the characteristics of a blockchain capable or determined in any way of achieving this. This is a trend we see materializing far too often now from new players in the blockchain space, but one that only reaffirms my conviction in Cardano. In doing things the right way, caring about important aspects of blockchain architecture such as decentralization or how you continue to become more decentralized over time, in the long run will ultimately play into Cardano's hands. To emerge as the most highly adopted chain when the masses come in search for an alternative system, one they can run every aspect of their digital lives upon, that provides the true freedom that a permissionless and decentralized network grants, is Cardano that will be one of the most compelling options. With the Edinburgh Decentralization Index very much on the way, with regulators taking a keen interest in the formulation of this index, there are extremely interesting times ahead that will be sure to leave many Layer 1 blockchain founders and investors alike questioning their design and investment decisions. Next up today, and briefly we check in on Charles, who over the weekend gave us this tweet teasing something special coming to Cardano in November. Simply stating something special is coming in November with this GIF, as expected it caused lots of fun speculation amongst the Cardano community. As you know, we have the Cardano Summit late November. On the 18th marks the opening of the lab at the University of Edinburgh and the true beginnings of the Decentralization Index. JED is also nearing launch, with the expected completion of their audit also occurring this month. It could also possibly be some SPO parameter change after the topic has been heavily debated in recent weeks, something Catalyst or members organisation related, or the arrival of the highly anticipated input endorser SIPs that he mentioned were coming in a recent update. See, the thing is, in Cardano the list seems to be very long in terms of what he could be referring to here. With World Mobile's progress really starting to ramp up, IOG's efforts in Ethiopia rolling out DIDs to hundreds of thousands throughout their education system, Lace, Mithril and Hydra all under heavy development, there really is no end to the possibilities of what may be announced here. But let me know in the comments what you think. Is it a new partnership, revisiting an old one, technology-based rollout, or something entirely different? Now, whilst we already have lending dApps in our ecosystem, we are yet to see the arrival of a peer-to-pool lending application, meaning rather than order book peer-to-peer style lending, in peer-to-pool, the lending is serviced via liquidity pools, which, similar to the liquidity pool DEXs, on average sees a much higher user interaction, as it doesn't require specific request matching, enabling orders to flow more efficiently. On other smart contract platforms, similar applications that have pooled lending have recorded some of the highest user activity and value locked amongst the entire ecosystem of decentralized applications. So with this in mind, where are we at in terms of the introduction of Liqwid Finance, who in the last update announced being live on the Cardano preview testnet? On Saturday they provided this technical status update, which included reference inputs wired into the Q token script, liquidation contract testing complete, and Oracle contract integrated with exchange price feeds API done. But for the community, whilst we love a technical status update, the question is, when mainnet? Here, Dwayne Cameron, co-founder of Liqwid Finance, over the weekend stated, "We are pushing for a mid to late December launch." So seemingly about 2 months out, this sounds promising and is going to be a big one for the Cardano ecosystem. We'll be sure to follow up as and when more developments here take place. Now, before the weekend, we covered a piece on TxPipe and the introduction of Demeter, the cloud environment that provides developers all the tools and infrastructure to build and deploy Cardano dApps with ease. Well, over the weekend, TxPipe announced they have now prepared and published a live board detailing the roadmap, providing more clarity and visibility to community developers on what they're building and when it can be expected. One of the things that stuck out for me in the 2020 Q4 roadmap related to Demeter, and specifically the introduction of custom Hydra heads per project. If I understand it correctly, this will enable Demeter users to experiment and implement Hydra heads within their applications, For Hydra to be utilised and more widely used throughout the ecosystem, TxPipe and the work they're doing here is going to be massively beneficial, enabling this to be achieved. Now, whilst broadly speaking for the non-developers of the ecosystem, that's me included, the release of a development roadmap for a team building developer tools and infrastructure may not seem the most headline-worthy news, I'd argue it's the work teams like TxPipe are carrying out and infrastructure they're delivering that will lead to more developer adoption, in turn playing a significant role in the growth of the Cardano ecosystem. Finally today, and we shed some light on a completely community-developed alternative smart contract language that aims to make programming on the Cardano blockchain easier and attract more developers to start building on Cardano. Helios is a purely functional programming language inspired by Go and Rust. The main design principles behind the language are that it should be readable by as many programmers as possible. Readability is more important than writability, and there should be only one way of doing things to make the process of programming far more straightforward. Now, Helios is a domain-specific language for writing smart contracts on the Cardano blockchain. We all know the narrative that not everyone knows Haskell, and this is no secret, but Helios is certainly an interesting alternative to Plutus or Haskell, and its library, written in JavaScript, has an API for compiling Helios sources into Plutus core, and for building transactions that can be submitted to the Cardano blockchain. The team working on this project recently announced that the Helios docs are almost finished, which many developers have suggested being of a very high quality. In a recent tweet, Helios made a valid point that really resonated with me. What other blockchains have alternative smart contract languages developed entirely by the community? I think this is just one of the many examples of the Cardano community picking up a shovel and producing something of value that contributes massively to developer adoption and the growth of our ecosystem. So that's it for today's installment of Cardano Insights, as we keep track of the developments and continue to spread those positive Cardano vibes. If you found value in the content and want to help Sapien connect the unconnected and harness the power of the YouTube algorithm, then please be sure to comment, share, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, which is the best way you can help support the channel. We'll be back soon with your daily roundup. Until then, thanks for watching, have a great day, and as always, keep it Cardano.